This is the water pump that we had. This is from the 1.5 gen. It has the two sprocket points here on the water pump, and of course this is the results of it. And if you all see, look at that, look at that, see how it's all gouged up in there? And of course this is nice and smooth here, but in here it's all gouged up inside where the bearing of the shafts went. Now, as far as the water pump goes, it mounted like so, and it spins on here, and the bearings are all inside here along with the seals. And you do have one little seal right here that goes around the shaft. Now this is the water side. Now there's seals that go around here, and I'll show you where those are at. This here is the inside of the water pump. Now the shaft will fit right in here, and you can see there's bearings that go on in this side. Now here's the whole key to the point, folks. The oil gets up in here into these bearings from the back side, from the shaft, that of course would be mounted onto the outside of the water pump, and it is exposed to the oil here. Now the whole point that I'm seeing on this is that this shaft is exposed to the oil for lubrication purposes. But here's where the problem lies. As we take this thing apart, we then have a lot of needle bearings and everything else that ride along in here. But if you look at this right there, folks, see that? See that right here? Right there? That seal is worn out. Now this seal gave, and remember, this is the water pump side, okay? This seal rides right along in here, and of course that seal failed. Now what happens is, once the seal fails and it destroyed itself, then the water side over here, the water leaks through and gets into the bearings. Now what it does to the bearings, as we're looking at them, we got these small ball bearings right here, and if you look at these ball bearings, dropping everything everywhere, if you look at these bearings, they're all deformed. Okay, this one here was cut by the water jet, but these bearings are deformed. These bearings right here are deformed and got some flat spots on them, so the ball bearings are in there. But that's not the only bearing that they put inside these water pumps. Also, we have these bearings, these needle bearings, and if you look closely at these, look at them, they're all flat spotted. They stop spinning. Now the reason they all stop spinning around that shaft, around this shaft, as you can see, this shaft is all beat up. Okay, bearings going in there, the shaft is all beat up and of course gouged up. Now what happened is the water leaked through the seal right here, and it got into here, and it destroyed the lubrication that the bearings were needing, because it was now coolant rushing over them, and it washed them out, and it essentially destroyed the water pump. So it is a catastrophic failure onto this. This thing is terrible, folks. If you look at it, if you get the camera to focus at all on this thing, okay, as you can see, it is, of course this is the cut from the water jet, but as you can see, the shaft is definitely gouged up, and these needle bearings are all gouged up. Other things that happen, these seals, the gaskets on them failed. Okay, see that? That failed, and that one failed. They both failed, and they of course allowed water to get in, and once water got in, then it started tearing apart. Now if we look at this here real close, you can see that. See that point? See how that's all ate up? And this gasket is all destroyed? This thing is paper thin, folks. The metal is completely worn out on it, and this is what actually happened to it. And it fell apart, and it seals just like that. Seals back on the oil side. This is the oil side right here. This is the oil side. This is the coolant side. This rubber is exposed to the coolant. So now we're thinking, okay, this is exposed here. It's not. It gives just a little. It's really hard. But what I'm telling you, folks, is the acidic value of the coolant ate away at this seal, and being it's acidic, it's like an acid to it in a way, I guess you could say. You want an alkaline coolant, and this, of course, is acidic results, and it ate away at these metal, and you can see that thing got ate away. Okay, and it got ate away from where, and then it started leaking. So this is the failure point right here at this seal. The bearings were not the failure point. The seal was the failure point, and then subsequently the bearings then bit the dust, as they say. And that goes the same side here on this one, on this half of the gasket. As you can see, it's got a lot of wear to it too, and of course it has its demise, and it's got a steel core, as you can see, around the gasket. They're trying to bolster it up, but either way it didn't work, and it failed also. So this is how this water pump failed, and you can see all the gouges and everything else in it here where the bearings actually failed. Right here in these gouges, you can see that they failed here. But otherwise, you got a smooth surface here on the water side where it was press sealed in, and then of course all the subsequent failures where the bearings at. So that's the point where it failed on that aspect, and then of course your weep hole that you have right here. But let's go ahead and look at the other one. I have not actually even taken this one and looked at it. I just put it in the box when I left, so they taped it up so I wouldn't lose all the small parts. I haven't even washed it off. So this one is really pretty pristine as far as not opening it up and looking at it. And then of course here is where the seal is, where it mounts to the shaft. This is where it's press fitted on with this metal onto the impeller, and this is the impeller that had broken, and this of course is the first gen 2010 Edge that was sent to me. So this is what it looks like for the first gen. And everything fell apart on me here. Let's see if I can't get this thing out of here. It's got a lot of sand on it. And I got a lot of pieces and parts. This gasket here is totally destroyed. But a lot of little bearings and pieces that come out of it. Got a lot of little pieces here. So I think that's it. So let's go ahead and look at this real quick. Now as we can see, it didn't cut all the way through when he did the cut. It sort of skipped on us, but it was cutting from the bottom, so it didn't cut all the way through the shaft, and that's just the nature of the beast. But it does have a retaining ring around it here that retains these keeper rings. So they're like keys that we have on here on this one. And then of course we have it's all rusty. Amazing how fast it rusts, so that ought to tell you all something. And then got bits and pieces. This gasket still somewhat pliable. It was inside in there and guarded it. And then this water pump has its failure point, so let's see what it is. And again, if we look at this gasket right here, we can see that this gasket is of course failing, and it is Got a lot of wear on it, folks. A lot of wear. And it is the same. They didn't change it. They did not change it, folks. That is the same gasket as the 1.5 gen. And guess what's failing? This. They did not change this. They are using the same gasket to seal both generations. So we have a commonality here. This gasket is what's failing on this water pump. And then of course we have the bearings in here in the race. And this thing is all chewed up on the inside. I don't have any way to break it. There we go. Then we got inserts in here for our, there we go. So these are our bearing inserts that we have in there, and of course they weren't cut all the way through, but they're all nasty and gouged up here also. So we can assume that these bearings inside this pump, which is a little different, I see a little melting going on in here. Okay, right there, it's all garbaged up. A lot of junk is collected there. I don't even know what that is. It's something that's collected in there. And of course this race right here is all nasty. But there's something built up right here where these were put, and that's like in between. So we're going to say that we had something building up into this water pump too, based on what I'm seeing here. And again, this is the first gen, but we have some buildup right here. I don't know what that is, but it's in both sides. And it looks like, yeah, we got our weep hole. We got our weep hole right here. Okay, that little weep hole goes all the way out right here. And of course that's where the water was designed to go out if it started getting through right here on this. And again, we got a lot of buildup right here on this where it's pressed in between here and here. There's a lot of buildup right here, and I don't know what that is, but it's pretty well built up on there. But we have a fair amount of failure on that. And then of course I'm just trying to sort through, and I'm trying to find all these needle bearings. And again, yep, all the needle bearings of course are destroyed again. Okay, this is not from the water jet. These things are completely ate up. These needle bearings in there, and these small round bearings, roller bearings, ball bearings are all ate up, and one's even a different size than the others and chewed up pretty good. So I'm gonna say that we have seal failure, because if you look at it, folks, this seal, look at this seal, it is ate up. Look at that thing, ate completely up. It is chewed to bits. Let's check this seal out. It's all metal encased seal, and then of course they got wires running through the seals as some sort of reinforcement, and they got a hard plastic seal and then soft rubber seals here. So the rubber seal, of course, the hard plastic is the first one, and then of course it all failed. But I'm going to say that the seals, based on all the pieces that we have here, the seals are the weak point, folks. And based on what I'm seeing, it's not the bearings that fail, it's the seal. The seal is where we're getting our failures. So that is it, folks. That's the discovery of this. It is not a bearing failure. It is a seal failure that is causing this problem. So let's recap over what we got after I clean up this mess. That is about it for our water pumps, and it's rather interesting in the failure point, folks. I checked everything out, and here's basically, as I said in the video, the theory. The seal on the water or coolant side is the failure point. Now once that seal goes and it gets ate away inside, then it starts leaking, and then the water works its way into the bearings, and then it turns around and it eats up the bearings, and the bearings fail, and then it just chews and makes a bigger hole for the water to get in, and then ultimately it pours through the shaft opening as the seal failure progresses, and it gets into the oil pan, and then it distributes the coolant throughout the engine using the oil pump. So that is how it fails, and I will note that the seal from the first generation was not changed physically at all. That seal in this 1.5 was exactly the same, and I'm going to say on the 3.5 that seal is probably the same on the second generation 3.5. It does not appear they have bolstered that seal up any to make it last longer. So that is where the failure point is based on what my theory is and what I'm seeing is going on with the water pump. So it is not a bearing failure, it is a seal failure, and that subsequently causes the bearings to fail. So that's it for our water pump. I hope you enjoyed the cutting part of it, and of course give us a thumbs up on this video. I think this is a first ever video where we cut not only one but two Ford Edge 3.5 Duratec internal water pumps in half using a water jet machine. And of course I hope you all enjoyed it. It came at great expense to me to pay for that. So by all means hit the like button. Give me that much, okay? But I hope this helps answer any of your questions on water pump failures. When will it happen? Don't know, folks, but I'm going to tell you one thing. Coolant does become acidic if you let it go too long, and I'm sure that the acidic nature of the coolant as it degrades is not helping the gaskets out, the seals. So it eats at the seals, and thus you end up with failure. So the moral to this entire story is, if you learned anything from watching this video, change your coolant. Do not go 5 years with it, folks. Change it every couple years to help those seals stay in good shape so you can have more longevity out of your Ford Edge. I know I change mine every year, and I don't have water pump failure so far. So I'm going to stay with what works for me. But you all make your decision about what you want to do. But I do mine once a year because I don't want water pump failure. And so far so good. Over 500,000 miles on a 3.5 Duratec, and I have not had one water pump failure. So it's either luck or good maintenance, right? It's all about the maintenance, folks. Changing them fluids. But this is MACTFORDEDGE. Of course, join up on Facebook, and of course, like and subscribe on the YT channel also that you're watching this video on, and hit that like button. And by all means, whatever you do, my feet hit the floor today, and I'm having a great day, and I want you to have a great day too. And following that, Mercy Girl does have a couple one-liners she's going to throw at you. And of course, listen to the great music by the Band of One that is always providing us with great music for our videos. And this is it. Signing out.
Thank you for watching MacT's videos, and remember to like and subscribe. This is a Mercy Girl production.